Hello, my name is Christy Rotman and I am the College Life Skills Coach at the University of Virginia. In this workshop, I'll be talking more about preparing yourself for quizzes and exams. Did you know that you're actually learning more during an exam than when you're studying? Retrieving or recalling information from a memory increases your ability to retain that information. It makes it stick better. And the only way to do this is to practice retrieving the information, like during a quiz or a test. That's when we do the learning. So if you're tempted to dread quizzes and tests, try a reframe by telling yourself, this is a chance to make the content stick, to see where my gaps in knowledge are, and to really deepen my learning. It's just like practicing for a sport or a musical instrument. You practice for the game or the performance. After showtime, quote unquote, you go back to practicing to improve your craft. Learning is just like these things. It should feel full of effort, and you want to make sure that you're putting in good effort so that you're making the most of your energy. Test prep really begins on day one of your class, not a few days before an exam. So the best way to do this is to incorporate a preview and review cycle into your weekly study rhythm to ensure that you're frequently engaging with the material. You can do things like scan readings and lecture notes if available prior to attending class, identify key concepts and terms that you expect to cover, note the topics that you're curious about and any questions you may already have, and then soon after class, condense and clarify your notes. Be sure to mark down areas where you're still unclear and questions that you might ask in office hours. Also, remember that your brain cannot be ready to learn without adequate sleep, exercise, nutrition, and hydration. Too often, students try to pull all-nighters or marathon cram sessions at the expense of taking care of their whole self. Imagine if you showed up to a big game without eating or sleeping well. That wouldn't be smart. Your brain needs that sleep and that nourishment too to be at its best for studying. Finally, adjust your expectations for what will happen during the exam. Your mind may go blank and you may not immediately know an answer. That's okay. Practice working through problems without knowing the answer immediately. That way you won't become flustered if this happens during an exam. During the exam, you'll want to be systematic and calm. Start by looking through all the exam before beginning so you know what to expect and how you'll need to allot your time. Read the directions slowly and carefully. Mark any questions that you need to come back and revisit. Use slow and intentional breathing exercises to calm and ground yourself. And speak positively and kindly to yourself in your mind, remembering that you have prepared well. This can also help to quell any anxiety that may surface. If you feel a bit anxious during the exam, remember that some anxiety is necessary and helpful for increasing performance. The physical sensations that we associate with anxiety are also very similar to the feelings that we associate with being excited or getting ready for something, like an actress might feel before a big performance. If these feelings surface for you, try telling yourself that this is evidence that your mind and body are ready for the exam, just like you would in a sports competition or an artistic performance. This is also a good chance to return to those slow and intentional breathing exercises to calm you down. Or you might take a moment to jot down what you're feeling and thinking. Dr. Dan Siegel coined the phrase, "name it to tame it." And research shows that you can reduce your stress by up to 50% by simply noticing and naming your emotional state. In a sense, your rational brain is literally calming down your emotional brain when you use this name it to tame it strategy. After the exam, take a moment to evaluate not only your performance on the test, but your preparation. What went well, what didn't, and what can you change for next time? Too often we move on so fast that we forget to do this. This is also a great opportunity to visit a professor in office hours to discuss any lingering content questions that you have, and also to talk about your test prep and your study habits for the class. Perhaps they have some suggestions for you. Finally, use the return quiz test exam as a clue for how your future assessments will be structured and how best to prepare. I hope this quick workshop has given you some ideas for actions you can take before, during, and after an exam. I also hope it gave you some simple but effective strategies for handling any anxious thoughts that may arise during an exam. For more information, I recommend all the sources that I've referenced here.